Hey y'all, I was watching No Country for Old Men the other day. I picked up the Criterion collection version of it. I don't know, when did that come out? 6 months ago? A year ago? I don't know when it came out. I've already forgotten. But I was watching that movie for, I don't know, the 25th time of my life. We all know it's a great movie, and I started devising a list in my head of how I would rank the Coen Brother movies. And a lot of us do this, right? We have a favorite director or a favorite album or a band, and we start formulating how we would rank their movies or their albums or whatever it is. And I made my list for Coen Brother movies. We all love the Coen Brother movies, and why not do a list? I'm going to do one. And my experience with the Coen Brothers goes way back. The first movie I saw of theirs in the theater was Raising Arizona. I didn't see Blood Simple in the theater. I was a little too young for that, but I saw Raising Arizona in the theater when I was 14 years old in the early PG-13 days. You know what I'm saying? And I loved it so much, I went and saw it again in the theater. I saw it twice in the theater. I saw it with one friend of mine, and then we loved it so much and we talked about it so much in high school that another friend of mine wanted to go see it. So I went with him to go see it. Back in those days when you were 14 years old, going to the movies was a big event. It was very exciting. You rarely ever went twice, though. Well, I did. That's how much I loved Raising Arizona. And I'm going to rank the Coen Brothers movies. I just thought I'd mention how far back I go with these guys. It's been a long time. It's been a long ride, man. It's been almost 40 years since I have been. Actually, I think it has been 40 years because I saw Blood Simple on video back in the early 80s when my parents bought a VCR, and they were one of the first people on my block to buy a VCR. And VCRs were as big as a house and they cost $500 in 1982 money. Yeah, VCRs were massive, highly expensive relics back then. They were not cheap. And I do think that my adventure with the Coen brothers started with Blood Simple. I saw it on video. And that was also an amazing movie. In fact, it was. I think I literally have seen every Coen brother movie in order since they've come out, from Blood Simple all the way up to their most recent movie, which unfortunately was what, 7 years ago now, 6, 7 years ago. They are making a new movie. They split up for a while and they made some movies apart from each other. Ethan Cohen has been making some pretty, in my opinion, shitty movies on his own. He needs to get back with his brother so they can get back to the magic. And they are making a new movie together again. I read that Buster Scruggs was the last movie they did together because they were getting annoyed with the way Hollywood was and how difficult it was becoming to get a movie released. And who can blame them? I don't necessarily blame them for their frustration. Getting a decent movie made these days is not easy unless you're making some brainless pap like another Superman movie or another Fantastic Four movie or whatever it is. It's got to be a superhero movie. It's really the only way you're going to get a movie made. It's very depressing times for movies. In fact, I've already mentioned this in previous videos, but I think our current Hollywood system is the saddest and worst it's ever been. It's really, really bad. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the good stuff, which is Coen Brothers. I'm going to rank all 18 of their movies that they've done together. I'm not ranking things they've done apart. I'm ranking movies that they have directed together. There's 18 of them, and I will go through them now. Thank you very much for joining me. Here we go. As I look at the list, There are only two movies in this entire list that I have zero interest in watching again. In fact, I was surprised at how poor they were coming from the Coens. I know that they do have a tendency to kind of they'll make a movie that they know is going to make money so they can fund the next movie that they really want to make, the Passion Project movie. They've kind of fallen into this rhythm where they make a movie that's for the low-hanging fruit that's less interesting but makes money, and then they go and make the movie they really want to make after that, which is a low-budget, excellent movie that isn't going to attract as many viewers. I'm sure you can guess which way I lean in terms of which movies I like the best. But there are a couple movies in this list that I was so disappointed with. I was shocked how bad they were. In fact, I was angry with one of these, and it's at the very bottom of the list. There are two of them. There are two movies that I think are just unwatchable garbage. There are a couple movies I think are okay, not very good, but watchable. And then the rest of them are just some variation of really good to excellent to brilliant. They don't make bad movies. It's rare when they do. But number 18 on my list, and this is a movie that I have absolutely zero interest in ever watching again. I saw it in the theater once, and that was enough. Hail Caesar. How bad was this movie? Just really bad. I was shocked with how painfully mid, boring, and out stupid this movie was. I understand the message. I know what it was trying to say. It's a lampooning of Hollywood. Okay, I get it. I appreciate that. But boy, this was a bad movie. I was very surprised when I left the theater. It was the one time in my life where I watched a Coen brother movie and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. They were okay with releasing this. A really just a very sloppy, poorly made, not very well written, forced wooden movie. It's one of those movies. It's kind of like a Wes Anderson movie in a way where they crammed as many stars as they could into it. Let's see how many big names we can cram into this movie. Let's have them do nothing. Let's just plant them in front of a screen and have them do and say nothing. Lots of stars, lots of big names, lots of big faces, but absolutely empty. It could have been good and it was awful. You have to wonder what they were thinking here. Really bad. I really have nothing good to say about Hail Caesar. It is a shitty movie. As you can tell, I'm still angry about it. When did this come out? I don't even remember. Some point in the last decade, but I remember seeing it in the theater with a friend of mine, and we were both stunned. My friend is also a big Coen brother aficionado, and we were both staring at each other in bemusement, like, what the fuck was that? Just a terrible movie. It's their one absolute goose egg. They laid a big, stinky, cracked, Humpty Dumpty, scrambled egg fart of a movie. It was horrible. And I defy anybody to justify it here on this video. If you want to argue for why it's good, go ahead, but you're going to lose the argument. This is a bad movie. It, maybe that was the point. I don't know, but it comes off as a very unintentionally cynical, lame, boring exercise. And it's supposed to be lampooning Hollywood, but I think it's the one instance where I think the movie just gets away from the Coen brothers. I think they lose the plot, they lose the point, and it ends up just being a very lame, flat, one-note movie. The performances aren't very good. It just seems like there's so many stars that are running around like chickens with their heads cut off in this movie. They're all overacting. They're all trying to outdo each other. Most of the big names in the movies just have nothing to do. They're just there for like one brief scene and then they're gone. Like what was the point of that? Anyway, this is the one major misfire of the Coen brothers. I guess you have to have one in your career, right? This is a bad movie. Hail Caesar. Oof. Yeah, never I'll never be watching that one again. I think it's one of very few Coen brother movies that I don't own. I own pretty much all of their movies in some physical format or another, whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K. This is one of a few that I just don't have, I won't buy, and I will never bother watching again. Hail Caesar at number 18. Number 17, and I didn't think this movie was much better, Intolerable Cruelty, another George Clooney Coen brother thing. I don't know. I'm not a big fan. In fact, they've worked with Clooney, what, four times? Three of those Clooney movies are going to be at the very bottom here. I don't. I don't know that the Coen brothers. I don't know that they should be working with George Clooney anymore. I don't think that they are at their best when Clooney is in their movies. I understand that they have to make movies in order to put asses in seats. And how do you put asses in seats? You put George Clooney in your movie. I get it, but I don't think it works. Intolerable Cruelty. I really don't have much to say about this. This is another movie I have no interest in seeing again. With Hail Caesar, I feel like at least it was so epically bad that it's memorable. Intolerable Cruelty was just boring. I really, I could not believe that this was a Coen brother movie. It really doesn't have any of their signatures. I mean, maybe a few, but it's extremely forgettable. Arguably the most forgettable movie in their entire canon. I don't know. I really don't have much to say about this movie. I've seen it once, and it fell very flat, and I don't have much more to say about it. Number 17 is Intolerable Cruelty. I don't get it. I think again, this is the Coen brothers trying to make a movie to bankroll their next passion project. This is one of those bridge movies for them. Number 17, Intolerable Cruelty. Number 16, Burn After Reading. Another George Clooney exercise. Brad Pitt was crowbarred into this one. Um, Frances McDormand is in this. She is the one reason to watch this movie. When she's working with her husband Joel, it's just there's something magic that happens. She's always worth watching anyway, but when she's doing a Coen brother movie, it's usually something special, and she's really good in this. But overall, I thought this was a really ham-fisted, overtly, arbitrarily so complicated movie. I think it's one of those bridge movies for them. I think they made this movie wanting to bankroll another movie that they really wanted to make. Um, this is another movie I have no interest in watching ever again. I've seen it once. I saw it in the theater. That's enough. I really didn't think it was all that funny. I thought Brad Pitt's character was not well done, not well written. I felt like he was just an obnoxious stereotype. I think Brad Pitt is an excellent actor, but he didn't do anything worthy here. I don't think George Clooney did anything of note. I thought the jokes were over the top and kind of stupid. Not not a good Coen brother movie. Again, one of those movies kind of like Hell Caesar where you watch it and you're like, okay, it almost feels like another director and other writers trying to be the Coen brothers. Almost a movie that's outside of themselves. It, if I were watching Burn After Reading, I might think it's a lesser writer and a lesser director than the Coen brothers trying to emulate them. I didn't think it worked, and I have no interest in ever seeing Burn After Reading again. I kind of feel the same way about this movie that I do Intolerable Cruelty. I didn't think it was terrible, but I thought it was really just a lot of nothing. Lots of nothing going on. Number 16, Burn After Reading. I will pass on that. I have no interest in ever seeing this again. I don't own it, and I can't imagine ever owning a physical copy of this. I just have no interest. Now, those are the three movies that the Coens have done that I just have zero interest in ever visiting again. The final 15 here, I own all of these movies in their physical form. I think they're all worth revisiting and rewatching. Some of these aren't perfect, but The remaining 15 are all good in some way, I think. They're all funny or intense or well acted or well directed or well written or whatever, enough to the point where you want to watch them over and over or just at least a few more times. Number 15 is The Hudsucker Proxy. This is like the one movie in their entire canon that I've never been able to really formulate like an accurate opinion on. To this day, I don't know how to feel about this movie. I saw this movie in the theater. It came out in 1994, I believe. I saw The Hudsucker Proxy in the theater, and I didn't know what to make of it then. I've watched it a number of times in the 30 years since it's been released, and I still don't quite know what to make of it. And I guess that's a good thing. It's a nod to their love of old-timey movies. Obviously, Paul Newman's in it, Tim Robbins is in it, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Bruce Campbell. The talent is there. Sam Raimi was involved in this one. I just don't know what to think of it. I think it's a solid out of, if you're going to give the movie a rating out of 5 stars, I think it's a solid 3-star movie. I don't think it's perfect. I think it has a lot of flaws. I don't think it's half as funny as it thinks it is, but I get what it's trying to do. It's, giving you that old-timey feeling, right? And the Coen brothers will do that every once in a while, but the movie doesn't work in a lot of ways. Again, I think it thinks it's more funny than it is. And I thought that way when I first saw it in the theater back in 94, and I still feel that way here in 2025 when I watch it. I just don't think sometimes I think it's another one of those movies that got away from the Coen brothers. I think it could have been a lot better. I don't think Paul Newman has anything to do in the movie. Again, I think they kind of threw him in there because it's Paul Newman, but I don't know. It could have been better. Um, I didn't think there's enough meat on the bone. I think it looks cool. I think it's kind of the story is told in a fun way. I think it's mildly amusing, but I don't think the movie's all that funny, really. But I'm convinced that I'm missing something. You know what I'm saying? Like I see people who love this movie think some people think it's one of the Coen brothers' best movies. I think that's an irresponsible thing to say. I don't think it's anywhere close to that. Obviously, I'm putting it at number 15 out of 18. But there is something there. Like I feel like one day I'll watch this movie and I'll figure it out. Like, oh yeah, that's what I was missing. I knew there was something there. But here in 2025, I have to put it at number 15. I just don't think I think it's lacking something. And until I figure it out, it's going to be here at number 15. Another movie I kind of feel the same way about is number 14, The Lady Killers. But I do think The Lady Killers takes a lot of shit where it's undeserved. I think The Lady Killers is pretty damn funny in parts. It's not perfect. It is kind of a mess, but I feel like that's part of its charm. I know a lot of people think The Lady Killers is their worst movie. I disagree with that. I think The Lady Killers is pretty damn funny. I think Tom Hanks is wonderful in this movie. I think it's one of his best performances. I think that's the problem, though. I think that other than Tom Hanks, I just feel like this movie is filled with performances that are way over the top or not enough. It's obviously the whole charm of the movie, I guess, is that it's way over the top. But I felt like this movie was filled with a lot of mediocre performances overall. But then there's Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks obviously is an awesome actor. I think he pulls this movie out from the dreck it could have been. This movie's worth watching for Tom Hanks. And I think that's what makes it unique is that most, pretty much all Coen brother movies, the reason you want to watch them is because it's the Coen brothers. But The Lady Killers is the one exception. This is the movie you want to watch because of Tom Hanks. I think this movie could have been a complete and utter mess, and I think it is kind of a mess, but Tom Hanks buoys it. His performance is so good that he makes it worth watching. And in that way, it makes it unique. So number 14, The Lady Killers. I think if you hate this movie, I would encourage you to watch it again. I think it's smarter and funnier than a lot of people give it credit for. Um, it does go over the top, but I think again that's the charm of it. It's supposed to, but it doesn't always work. But yeah, Tom Hanks is pretty awesome in this movie. Here is where the movies I think get excellent. I think that the other 13 of their movies are excellent in one way or another. Some more so, some are just excellent, but I don't think the rest of these 13 movies are bad really in any way. I think they're all way above average. 13, I'm going to put True Grit on here. I think True Grit, obviously it's a remake, but I think it's a really good movie. I've read other people's lists about the Coen brothers, and people tend to not like True Grit. I don't quite get the criticisms. I think maybe some people were miscast. The one issue maybe I have with this movie is Matt Damon being in it. I don't know that he was right for this part, but again, you got to put asses in seats, right? Jeff Bridges is obviously amazing in this movie. Haley Steinfeld is amazing. Before anyone knew who she was, she came from nowhere and just crushed it in this movie. What was she, 13 when she did this movie? 12, 13? She's amazing for someone of her age and experience at that time to just lay down and crush a role. She is really excellent. I haven't seen a single thing she's done since. I know she's still around. I know she's married to Josh Allen of all things. By the way, how long do you give that marriage? I give it a year tops, give or take 2 months. I can't see that one lasting for long. But Haley Steinfeld obviously is a really talented actor, but I think this movie's great. I think Barry Pepper is awesome. He's not in the movie very much. Barry Pepper does a great job. Josh Brolin pops up. And I don't think when they pop up, I mean I guess Barry Pepper isn't really a big star. Although sometimes I've wondered why not. I think Barry Pepper's awesome. But Josh Brolin pops up, but I don't think it doesn't detract from the story. That's how good the story is. And it's one of the few times the Coens have directed a movie that they didn't write. So, and that actually has something to do with why, my number one choice is a movie that the Coens wrote. I think a lot of people like to put No Country for Old Men at the very top in terms of their best movies, but it's hard for me to put that movie at the top because the Coens didn't write it, you know? You know what I'm saying there? But anyway, I'll get to that when I get to that. True Grit is one of the few movies they didn't write, but I think it's a really good movie. Is it perfect? No, but I think it's excellent. It's a movie that I've watched several times and I don't mind doing so. I think the one blight possibly is Matt Damon, but I think he does a fine job too. I think it's just, I feel distracted by his presence. Like you're watching the movie and I feel like the characters are authentic, and then, oh, look, there's Matt Damon. I felt like he was crowbarred a little bit in there, but again, that's how you sell movies, right? 15 years ago, Matt Damon was the shit, and you got to put those types of actors in your movies if you want low-hanging fruit to go buy a ticket for your movie. Anyway, I like True Grit. I think it's good. I think it's perhaps unfairly maligned, and I think it's an excellent movie. Number 13, True Grit. Number 12. I know people will disagree with me about this one, but I don't care. This is my list. I put Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Doesn't mean I don't like this movie. I like it. This was a movie that had to grow on me, I have to be honest. I saw this movie in the theater, just like I've seen every one of the Coen Brothers movies, with the exception of Blood Simple. I already pointed that out. Saw this movie in the theater and I didn't know what to do with it. It's the movie they made after The Big Lebowski, which is one of my favorites of theirs. Um, it just wasn't like the Coens, they tend to do that, right? They make a movie and then you're kind of expecting something similar to come after that, and they do something totally different. And but that's over time, that's one of the reasons why I've started to love these guys is you can't really predict what these guys are doing from one movie to the next. But Oh Brother, Where Art Thou has really grown on me, man. And I love this movie. It's just got some of the greatest lines. John Turturro is so good. Clooney's great. I think this is the best movie that the Coens have done with Clooney by far. But I think the reason to watch this movie is John Turturro and Tim Blake Nelson. These guys are so good. And the music's great. Awesome soundtrack. Um, I didn't know what to do with this movie when I first saw it, but time has told me that this is a great movie. Really funny. I don't think it's perfect. I do think it has moments that kind of meander a little bit. Oh, I forgot about John Goodman too. John Goodman's so good in this. When is John Goodman not brilliant in a Coen brother movie? It's never happened. John Goodman's greatest roles are all Coen brother movies. The Coens just they completely and thoroughly understand how to use John Goodman. In a lot of ways, John Goodman has become their muse. He is wonderful in this movie. He has a little cameo, and he's kind of the best part of the movie. But Oh Brother, Where Art Thou goes at number 12. One of their endlessly quotable movies. Very, very funny. Number 11, I put The Man Who Wasn't There. I don't know. Is this an underrated movie? Is it an overrated movie in terms of Coen brother movies? I don't know. I think it's great. Wonderful movie. I think Billy Bob is fantastic. I think Frances McDormand kind of steals the movie with her little scenes that she has. Very funny, very dark. I think The Man Who Wasn't There is a great example of a a a dictionary definition Coen brother movie, you know? And a lot of the movies I have in my top 10 here are going to be that. I think that there are movies that are, if you stand back from a distance and you watch the movie, you can tell that it's Coen's. Like when you watch The Man Who Wasn't There, it's like, oh yeah, no one else could have made this movie other than the Coen brothers. And I think those are the greatest Coen brother movies, the ones that are uniquely them. Only they could have done this. And that's what The Man Who Wasn't There was. It's dark and twisted, but really funny and awkward timing and awkward language with the dialogue. They almost kind of create their own language with some of the dialogue in this movie. Billy Bob is so good, very understated performance. Fantastic movie. One of their best. The Man Who Wasn't There. James Gandolfini pops up. He has a very minor role. Scarlett Johansson's one of her early roles. She pops up. Um, Beautiful movie, beautifully shot. It looks so good. Yeah, a Coen brother movie through and through. Love this movie. Number 10. This is a movie that really surprised me with how good it was. I wasn't expecting a lot, and then I watched it and it was like, wow, that was a fantastic movie. Inside Llewyn Davis. We're getting into the top 10 here. I didn't know what to think. I think maybe on the surface I saw that Justin Timberlake was in it, and I was like, oh no, what have the Coen brothers done? But I watched this movie and I realized what they were doing there with him being in it. And it was just, he's barely in the movie, but this is a great, great movie. John Goodman pops up again. He kind of steals the show with his role. Like, the Coen brothers just know how to use this guy. Really beautiful movie through and through. Um, the rest of these, the top 10 movies, I don't really know that there are anything wrong with these movies. I think, again, Llewyn Davis is one of those quintessential Coen brother movies. It's dark, it's funny, character study, Really, really vivid, vibrant characters who have a lot to say, who are very dynamic from each other. A wonderful movie. Really cool music, really well done. Cinematography wise, it's just beautifully shot. This is a movie that really surprised me, and I love this movie. Inside Llewyn Davis is number 10 for me. Number nine, I love this movie, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Man, again, a movie that really surprised me. A Netflix movie. Okay, I guess I didn't see all these movies in the theater because this one was never in the theater to begin with, was it? Maybe it was for a limited time. I never saw it in the theater. I saw it on Netflix. Absolutely love this movie. What a beautiful piece of work this movie is. I hear a lot of people complain about the last story, the one on the stagecoach, but I don't know. Maybe it makes the movie overlong, but I thought it was a really smart way to wrap up all of the stories. I think it's bar none one of the greatest movies ever made about death. To me, that's what this whole movie is. It's a soliloquy about death. Really, that's all it is. It's a dirge with laughs. It's a funeral with comedy. Another quintessential Coen brother movie. It's dark and violent and really funny and extremely well written. Just a brilliant movie. Anyone who thinks this is one of their worst movies, I just think you're flat out wrong. If you love the Coen brothers, you love The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I think all six stories are really brilliant in their own way. I think if I had to choose a favorite, I don't remember the titles of the stories, but I think my favorite would be the fifth one, the one where the woman's on the stagecoach and her brother dies, and then the Indians attack and she shoots herself. I don't want to, I guess I gave away I should say spoiler alert, but I'm assuming that most of you have seen this movie, but that would be my favorite of the six, I guess. The woman with the dog called President Pierce. Just brilliant. One of the best things the Coen brothers have ever done, that story alone. But all six of the stories are fantastic. The one with Liam Neeson's really good too. Just really haunting, really dark, really twisted stuff. Beautiful movie. Just a wonderful piece of work. And it bums me out that this is the last time they made a movie. This movie's been out for what, 6, 7 years now? I can't wait for another Coen brother movie. But this is one of their best, absolutely. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Number eight, man, see, I'm looking at these final eight. It was really hard to. This is when we're getting into like the serious Coen brother movies. And that's why number eight is Serious Man. I feel like I could have put Serious Man higher, and any one of these final eight Coen brother movies, I don't know. They're maybe interchangeable. I think the top two are probably always going to be at the top two, but Serious Man, what a great fucking movie this is. I saw this in the theater and I remember I saw it with a few friends of mine and we all had differing opinions. Like I loved it, and then one of my friends thought it was pretty good, and then the other friend thought it was shit. But I think that that is the sign of a good movie. It's the sign that a movie is trying to do something different. And Serious Man, I think in a lot of ways is maybe in some ways their most challenging movie. I think that the Coen brothers, well, I think any more than any movie, it's a movie about them loosely. It's about their upbringing. It's arguably their most personal movie. And I don't know that they'd ever get overtly personal about their lives anyway, but I think A Serious Man gets closest to that. And maybe that's one of the reasons I love it, but I just think that this movie, again, it's kind of another death dirge in a way. The main character, Larry Gopnik, um, which is another brilliant performance. What's the guy's name? Oh, I can't remember the guy's name. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember the actor's name, but um, he's a guy who just his life is crumbling. Everything, his marriage is crumbling, and he doesn't understand the world. It's just another one of those movies. The conceit of the movie is that this guy is put into this situation who's least equipped to deal with the reality around him. And the Coen brothers do this a lot. A lot of their movies are based around characters who are just ill-equipped to deal with what life is throwing at them. And I think as a man, many men can relate to this. That's why the Coen brothers are so fucking popular, is they deal with this theme a lot. And Serious Man is another one of those Coen brother movies, man. It's hilarious, really funny, great performances. It's dark and twisted, but Serious Man's one of their best movies. I could easily see myself putting this even in their top five, but because it's so hard to rank these, I'm putting it at number eight. But I'm not saying that I don't love this movie. I think this movie's absolutely brilliant. It's so funny and weird and psychedelic and violent and dark, and it's just fucking beautiful. And it's another death dirge in its way. One of the greatest endings to a movie I've ever seen. I love the ending to this movie. I love it when the Coens end their movies like this, like just heavy on the poetry. They're not giving you a pat answer. They're going to make you figure it out. God, I love that. And A Serious Man is that movie. And again, I think it's interesting because it is closest to an autobiography probably you're ever going to get from the Coen brothers. Kind of loosely about their upbringing, which I think is interesting. It's also kind of like it takes digs at religion and belief systems, and which I very much appreciate. It's well, I don't know. It's a good movie for an atheist. I'm atheist, and when I watch A Serious Man, I can't help but think that the Coen brothers are raging atheists as well. You watch a movie like this, and you're like, well, if you're religious, do you need any more reason to not have faith? A Serious Man is a great movie for people without faith and who are comfortable in being atheists. It's a cautionary tale for faith, in my opinion. Anyway, Serious Man's a great movie. Number eight. Number seven, I know people are going to disagree with this, but again, this is my list, is Fargo. I'm putting Fargo at number seven. I don't know. What can I say about Fargo? This is a brilliant movie. There's nothing wrong with it. The Coen brothers just happen to have, you know, eight or nine movies that are perfect. That don't have anything wrong with them. So how do you rate them? I'm putting Fargo at number seven because I don't know. There are six other movies that I just like slightly better, I guess. But Fargo, I don't know. Some days it might be in the top three. It's that good. There's nothing wrong with it. We know this. Fargo's one of the greatest movies ever made, just like the rest of these I'm going to talk about. Frances McDormand is amazing. An incredible performance. Steve Buscemi, however you want to say his name, he's brilliant. Everyone in this movie is just over the top brilliant. I can't. What am I going to say about this movie that you don't already know? I feel like Fargo is the one movie of theirs that everyone knows. You know why it's gorgeous. The cinematography, the humor, the bleakness, the darkness, the violence, all working in concert together. A beautiful movie, a perfect movie. There's nothing wrong with it. We know it. It's true. Number seven, Fargo. Number six, Miller's Crossing. I love this movie. It brings back a lot of warm fuzzies and memories. The Coens created their own beautiful language with this movie, arguably more so than any other movie. We know and love their very unique dialogue. I think their dialogue is arguably the most unique it's ever been here in Miller's Crossing. Things like giving me the hi-hat, And just some of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in a movie. I can't even. This is one of those movies that you can just quote forever. Just a beautiful movie. Miller's Crossing. Arguably one of their most poetic works. Lots of poetry in this movie. The acting's incredible. Gabriel Byrne is amazing. Tony Polito is fantastic. I love the scene with when he smacks his kid and his kid starts crying and he hugs his kid. He's like, "Hey, what's the matter? Did somebody hit you?" I mean, it's just so funny. Endlessly quotable movie. I still quote this movie to this day. Miller's Crossing, another quintessential Coen brother movie. The humor, the darkness, the poetry, it's all here. Absolutely love this film. Number six, Miller's Crossing. Number five, getting into the top five now. You know what's left. I'm going to put Blood Simple at number five. This was my introduction, as it was for many of us, to the Coen brothers. This is their first movie. And God almighty, this is a great movie. A great movie. Unbelievably good movie. I remember at the time when I saw Blood Simple, I remember, it's a very intense movie. It has its funny scenes, but this is one of the very few Coen brother movies that has very, very little humor. It's a very serious movie, and they only really have one other movie that I haven't mentioned yet that has really no humor to it. I mean, you can find humor in it, but pretty much all of the Coen brother movies have humor. They're laced with it. No matter how dark the movie is, there's always humor there. But Blood Simple is an exception. There are two exceptions in their entire catalog, and Blood Simple is one of them. And this is just one of the flat out one of the best noir movies ever made. I'm going all the way back to the 40s and 50s, the Humphrey Bogart movies, you name it. I think Blood Simple is one of the greatest noir movies of all time. It was filmed and shot by the great Barry Sonnenfeld, who worked with them in a movie here that I haven't mentioned yet, who went on to become a great director in his own right. But Barry Sonnenfeld kind of made his name with this movie, Blood Simple. And that's a big part of why this movie is so unique is the film work. Like those long panning shots, the one he does over the bar where it's going over the bar, then the camera raises over the drunk guy passed out on the bar, and then when it passes him, it lowers back onto the bar. It's so there's almost more humor in the way Sonnenfeld films the movie than there is in the dialogue itself. It's one of those unique instances where the way it's filmed is funnier than maybe the actual dialogue. Blood Simple is a brilliant movie. And for a lot of us, this was our introduction to the Coen brothers. And what an intro. My God, what a great movie. Number five, Blood Simple. And I highly recommend you pick up the Criterion collection of this because it has a hilarious commentary with the Coens with Barry Sonnenfeld. Sonnenfeld's just hilarious. He's cracking everybody up pretty much the entire movie, making jokes, making fun of the Coen brothers. It's great stuff. Blood Simple, one of the great movies. Number four is the movie they did after Blood Simple, Raising Arizona. My number four. Again, shot by Barry Sonnenfeld. I don't know what else I can say about this movie. We all love this movie. Absolutely one of the greatest comedies ever made, in my opinion. Non-stop hilarity, fantastic performances, brilliantly directed, brilliantly shot, full of poetry. Nicolas Cage is absolutely fantastic. Holly Hunter is great. Frances McDormand pops up. The guy who plays her husband, I can't remember his name. He's fantastic. He's a character actor that's been in many, many movies. Raising Arizona. Do movies get funnier than Raising Arizona? I don't think so. One of the greatest comedies ever made, period. And my number four Coen brother movie. I just feel like what can I say about this movie that you don't already know? Endlessly quotable. I still quote this movie to this day. Hit the deck, boy. Um, I could sit here all day and quote Raising Arizona. There's only one other Coen brother movie I think is more quotable, and I haven't mentioned it yet, and I'll get to it here in a minute. But Raising Arizona, one of the greatest comedies ever made, period. Beautiful movie. Great ending. Mm, fantastic music. And for this movie to come after Blood Simple, I remember it was curious. Like for someone who was 14 and I only knew Blood Simple, I was expecting something more intense, and then Raising Arizona comes, and it's a full-on comedy that's still kind of dark. But back then, when you're a kid, it kind of blows your mind, like who are these Coen brothers? What is going on here? It's one of the most unique movies ever made. And for it to follow after already another unique movie like Blood Simple, it just blew my mind. And it was one of those formative experiences for me as a young kid entering adulthood. I was getting my mind wrapped around movies, and Raising Arizona was a big stepping stone for me critiquing movies and trying to understand movies and trying to understand the artists who make them. Fucking great movie, Raising Arizona. Number three, and I know many people are going to put this at the very top for the Coen brothers, and I wouldn't argue with you, is No Country for Old Men. But I do think because it's a movie they didn't write, I have a hard time putting it at the top. I just it's a brilliant movie. It's perfect. We all know that. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. I think there might be plenty of days where I put this at the top spot, but because I don't know, there's something about the fact them not writing this movie that I can't do it. I can't put it at number one. And also there are just straight up two other movies that I like more. And you Coen brother fans, there are only two left and you know what they are. And this is a very I'm trying to make a subjective list. This is my opinion. Maybe on an objective list, I would put No Country for Old Men at the top spot, but this is a subjective list, so I'm going to put it at number three. There's nothing wrong with this movie. Nothing. It's perfect. The performances, the casting decisions, the direction, the lack of music, I really love. Like this movie forces the viewer to have a reaction, an emotion to what's going on the screen. This is something I really dislike about a lot of movies, especially nowadays, is there's always musical cues. You're not allowed to have any feeling without some piece of music holding your hand through a scene. Like, oh, this is funny, so we're going to play jolly music for you. Or this is dramatic, so we're going to play dramatic music. Or this is sad, so we're going to play sad music. Not here. This movie is intense and it takes you through a very violent, intense journey, and it doesn't hold your hand. Here's the story. You can choose to deal with it or not, but we're not going to cue you with any music. I thought that was a brilliant decision. There's so few movies that do this. No Country for Old Men is a perfect movie, and we all know it, and this is one of the great movies of all time. I don't need to tell you that. We already know this. Number two, Big Lebowski. I mean, come on. What do I need to say about the Big Lebowski? Nothing. The most quotable movie of all time, arguably the funniest movie of all time, the greatest comedy ever made in the history of humankind, The Big Lebowski. You know it. I know it. This is a beautiful fucking movie in every way. Perfect to its core. The casting, the acting, the writing, the direction, the music. This is one of the great movies of all time. I'm talking about going all the way back to the beginning of Hollywood and silent movies. This is one of the greatest movies of all time. We all know it. The Big Lebowski. Perfect in its execution. Arguably the best comedy ever made. And I just looking at the title, I know that you all are thinking of your favorite lines of this movie. It's the most quotable movie of all time. Absolutely hilarious. The Coen brothers, being the brilliant geniuses that they are, were on top of their game when they made this movie. This is the movie that came out after Fargo, which is just brilliant. They made a very intense, funny movie with Fargo. Maybe people were trying to, maybe people expected more of that when The Big Lebowski came out. I do remember when the Big Lebowski came out, it wasn't loved right away. People didn't know what to do with it. It didn't get reviewed very well. It was very mixed reviews. When I went to the theater and saw it, nobody was in there. I took a date to this movie. We were the only two people in there. It was an empty theater, man. It was crazy. To think about it now is even crazier. It was not well received when it came out. It's one of those movies that took on a life of its own once it came out on DVD, and more people saw it, and more people appreciated it, and now it just is what it is. We all know it's one of the greatest comedies ever made. So what can I say about The Big Lebowski? Nothing. We all know it's one of the best ever. And obviously there's only one movie that I haven't mentioned. And I truly believe this is one of the greatest movies ever made. Again, this is a subjective list. An objective list, you might not even put this in the top 10, but this is my list. My personal favorite Coen brother movie ever made is Barton Fink. I think this is the absolute quintessential Coen brother movie. This movie changed me more than any other movie on this list. Like many movies I see in the theater and like The Big Lebowski before it, I saw this movie on a date. And it's not the greatest date movie. I remember I took this, her name was Mindy. I took this chick Mindy out on a date. She was gorgeous. One of those women that every guy who saw her had to jack off to her at least once. And I finally got her to go out on a date with me, and I was like, all right, we're gonna go see that Barton Fink. And we went and saw Barton Fink. I'll never forget afterwards. I was stunned. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, one of the greatest things I've ever seen. I still think that to this day, but she wasn't so convinced, obviously. She was, she was more like most moviegoers who wanted to see something outwardly funny and not so intense. And I remember her questioning me on it, like, why did you like it? Like, she pointed out the reasons why she didn't really like it, and she wanted to understand why I liked it. And I saw this movie when I was 18, so I didn't have the words available to me to describe why I liked it. And needless to say, it was the first and only date I ever had with Mindy. We never went out again. Um, but I still think of this movie and my experience seeing this movie in the theater with Mindy as an illustration as to why people's tastes in movies are important to me. Barton Fink makes sense to me, and I didn't have the words then, and I probably don't have them now. But Barton Fink resonates with me more than any other movie from the Coen brothers because I perhaps relate to Barton Fink more than any other character they ever wrote. And alternately, I think that Barton Fink arguably maybe is the one character that the Coen brothers wrote that was so closely aligned to them as well. They wrote this movie when they had writer's block, when they were writing Miller's Crossing, and that's what Barton Fink is about on the surface. It's about a dude with writer's block. And I think when Mindy asked me what this movie was, why I liked this movie so much, and I couldn't articulate it then, I think what I connect to most intensely with Barton Fink is that I'm a writer, and I used to take myself very seriously as a writer. And ultimately, Barton Fink is about that same character that Lawrence Gopnik is about, like with Serious Man. It's about this guy thrust into this position that he's ill-equipped to deal with. That's what Big Lebowski is about as well. Jeff Lebowski is not equipped to deal with what's happening to him. And that's what all the greatest movies from the Coen brothers are about, essentially, I think. There's a titular male character that is not equipped to deal with what's happening to him. And I think Barton Fink is the greatest story that the Coens have ever told about that type of man. And that's why I connect to Barton Fink. He's a writer, he's out of his element, like Donnie. He's absolutely always struggling with the world around him. He's trying desperately to be a participant in life, but he ends up being a spectator in life. He has his 15 minutes of fame and then it blows up in his face. These are things that I can intensely relate to. And I think a lot of men can. And I think for me personally, this is why Barton Fink, even to this day, resonates with me even more so today than it did back in 91 when I saw it with Mindy in that theater. It meant a lot to me then, and it means even more to me now. I watched this pretentious writer taking himself way too seriously struggle to understand everything around him and everyone around him. And I think that's why so many men in particular can relate to Barton Fink. I just think it's a movie about men being lost in a world that they can't understand and they never will understand. That's what the head in the box represents. When Madman Munt, brilliantly played by John Goodman, gives him the box and Barton assumes that there's a severed head in there. We're made to believe that there's a head in there. We never really find out, but that's the point of the movie. Life is about never having an answer. And that's what Barton Fink is. When he's sitting on the beach at the end and the woman of his dreams is looking into the distance and the bird flops into the water, that's just a representation and illustration of a man never, ever, ever, ever going to have the answers to the questions that he has. He will forever live his life like a massive question. He's never going to have the answers he desires. And I think that is ultimately the most important point that any of us can have in life. It's the only way we're ever going to find peace is that understanding that you're never going to have the answers to the questions you have. That is why Barton Fink is my number one movie. And I hope I explained it well because I very much resonate to Barton Fink. It's a brilliant movie. Now I'm going to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed my ranking of Coen Brother movies, and I hope you have a fine Sunday. And I will talk to you later. Thank you for watching and listening, and goodbye.